What's up, YouTube peeps and barbecue freaks? Thank you guys for stopping by today. So the video you're about to see is one that I just shot, and I'm actually shooting this opening clip at the end of the video. But the video that you're about to see is a video that I did smoking. Now, I started out with 4 briskets, and this was supposed to be a taste test with 4 different briskets using 4 different rubs. So when you see the next clip, once I get into the rubs, you're going to see 4 different rubs that I talk about. However, one of the customers wanted me to go ahead and leave the brisket whole so they can have it tomorrow instead of today, so I wasn't able to cut into it. However, that brisket was the one that I seasoned with the Texas Best Brisket Rub from Heaven Made Products, and you know that I've used that one before multiple times, so I know what that tastes like. It's a really good rub. I still wish that I could have compared it to these 3 other rubs, but that didn't happen, so I apologize for that. But what I've done here is I took 4 different rubs, 4 different briskets, seasoned them up, you know, differently. One brisket with, or 4 different briskets with a different rub, and I cooked these on an offset smoker. Now, a lot of you have been asking me to do a cook on an offset smoker, and this is it. Now, I love my Traeger, I love my Pit Barrel and my Weber Smoky Mountain, but I will always be a offset smoker at heart. And this video, I get to do that. I get to cook on an offset smoker, and it was a long day. I started early in the morning. Yeah, I think these briskets cooked for right at about 13 hours. And, you know, so I had to tend to the fire all day long. But, you know, that's just something that I enjoy doing. So that's what this video is going to be about. We're going to, at the end, we're only going to taste test 3. And you'll see the rubs that we use on these briskets in the next clip. So I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you guys find it entertaining. It was really, really fun for me to make this video because I don't get to use an offset often, and I finally had the opportunity to do it, so I really enjoyed doing it. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, or I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's get this video started. Again, thank you guys for watching. I truly, truly appreciate it. Hit that like button, and if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button. I would truly, truly appreciate it. Anyway, let's get this video started. Okay, so the pit I'm going to use today is this offset here. It's a 500-gallon offset smoker. It belongs to a buddy of mine. And let's do this here. It's got 2 shelves, one on top, one on bottom. And this is, I'm actually gonna cook all 4 briskets on top. I think we can fit about, let me open this side real quick. I think a total of about 15 to 18 briskets on here, so it's actually pretty good size. So I'm going to cook it on here, and again, I'm going to put all the briskets on top, on that top rack. That top rack cooks a lot hotter, but this thing is a cooking machine. So we're going to use, I've got some post oak here and some here. So that's what we're going to use for the wood. So just want to show you what the pit looks like, because when I light it up and get the briskets on, it's going to be dark. But I wanted you guys to see what it looks like. All right, you guys, so I wanted to show you the 4 rubs I'm going to use. Well, really the 5 rubs, but we're doing 4 briskets, and one of them I'm going to do with Cosmo Q's hot cow cover and Texas beef. Both of these together will go on 1 brisket, and I put them in a shaker container here. So that's going to be 1 brisket. I'm going to season 1 brisket with these 2 rubs. I'm going to season the second brisket with this Bovine Dust Big Country Barbecue. Sent me these rubs. They're out of Allen, Texas, and these are rubs they use in competitions. He sent me some to try out. So this is their beef rub. So I'm going to use this one on the second brisket. On the third brisket, I'm going to use Heaven Made Products Texas Best Brisket Rub. This is one that I really, really like. And on the fourth brisket, I'm going to use Holy Cow's barbecue rub. This is their brisket rub. And I've used this one before, but it's been a couple of years maybe. And so it's been a while since I've used it. And of course, I've used this one before. I really like it. These these three here, I have not used yet. So, and I'm going to treat all 4 briskets exactly the same. I'm going to use Worcestershire as the binder for all 4. And I think I'm going to use my SPG as the base rub for all 4. I always use my SPG as the base rub for any of my meats. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do that yet. I'll let you know, as I'm rubbing down the briskets. But if I do, it'll be on all 4, my SPG, and then these will go on top. So I just wanted to show you the 4 rubs that we're going to compare, and well, really the 5 rubs, and let you know what we're working with. So I'm going to get some briskets trimmed up. We'll get them seasoned up and get them on the pit in the morning. All right, so I have the brisket here, one of them. I'm only going to show you trimming one brisket. You don't need to see all 4, obviously. And just so you know, they are not all the same size, but they are all the same brisket as far as grade and all choice. The reason they're not the same size is one of the persons I'm cooking for is just her and her daughter, so she wanted one that was a little smaller. Another person I'm cooking for, they wanted a larger one to feed about 20 people. So they're different sizes. However, that's not going to affect the taste test at the end, since we're just taking a small piece from each one. So I'm just going to trim these up just a little bit. I like to take off this meat at the end. It's kind of grayish, kind of been oxidized. And I'm not going to get too crazy with the trim on these. We're gonna, since I'm cooking them on an offset, I will tend to leave them with a little more fat on compared to like the Weber Smoky Mountain or something. So we're just gonna, this part here is gonna burn off, so I'm gonna round it off. There. And I'm going to remove some of the skin from the top. I'm not skin, some of this fat from the top. I'm going to try not to spend too much time trimming these up. I mean, I have multiple videos showing you how I trim briskets, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this top part, but I am going to trim some of it. And also, I'm going to cook these fat cap up, so I don't need to do a whole lot of trim, on this meat side. Like that, I think that's pretty much about it. There's some fat over here on this point side that I want to trim off. Hope you can make that out. I do want to trim some of it up, but I'm not wanting to take all of it off. I think from this side, that's probably as much as I'm going to take off. We're going to flip it over. You can see here, there's some fat here that we want to remove, so I'm going to make sure I get under here, remove some of that. That's probably, well, there's some more in here I want to get off. Some of this fat is hard, so it's not going to render out, so I want to go ahead and remove some of it. think that's about as much as I'm going to take off on that side. Then you have this other side. You can see this fat cap is pretty thick, so I'm going to take this down some. Let me cut this off because that's just going to burn off. Get some of this fat off. So this fat cap, I'll show you what it looks like in just a second when I get it off. So on that offset, cooking them on that top rack, that heat's going to come from the top. So that's why I'm going to cook these fat cap up on that offset. That top rack is the hottest part of the pit. Uh-oh. So I want to make sure that I protect that meat. So we're going to do these fat cap up on there. You can see I made cut a little too low on the meat. That's okay. You're not going to ruin the brisket. It's going to be just fine. We'll come in here, cut at an angle, get some of this fat off at an angle. I'm going to show you what it looks like in just a second. So I think that's about as much as I'm going to take off. I mean, there isn't. I'll take off a little more here. This fat is pretty soft. I think it's going to render for the most part. So as you can see, on this fat, on this side, I didn't trim a whole lot off. I mean, I trimmed some of it, but you can still see quite a bit of it. And, you know, I'm not, since, you know, this isn't like a competition or anything, I'm not worried about really getting this brisket really trimmed up nicely and evenly. It's gonna cook just fine, just the way it is. So that's what it looks like. I hope you can see that. Let's take a look. So that's kind of what that looks like on this side. So I think that's enough. You know, I think that fat will be just fine. This side is pretty thin over here, as you can see. So I'm not going to cut anything off of that side. So I think for this brisket, again, you know, I'm just cooking for around the house or from friends. So I'm not going to get as detailed as I would for like a comp brisket. But I think this right here will be just fine. So I'm going to get the other 4 trimmed up, and then we'll get them seasoned up and get them ready for the pit in the morning. All right, you guys, so I've started to rub these briskets down. I've got a couple of them already done, but just wanted to get this on camera. So I did decide to use my SPG as the base layer. So I did that on all the other briskets. So I'm going to do that to this one as well. So just give it a nice little coating. And this rub is actually going to be the bovine dust that I showed you earlier. I tasted each of these rubs right out of the package, and you know what, they all taste really, really good. Very similar in a lot of cases to one another. So I'm interested to see how they turn out. So I'm going to finish getting these rubbed down, and then we'll head out, get this pit fired up while these briskets sit here and, you know, let that rub kind of penetrate a little bit. All right, you guys, it is early morning. I'm getting the pit fired up. So what I've done is taking my chimney. I just put these lights on the side to try to help see better. So sorry if they're a little bright, but filled my chimney up with charcoal, Got the starter cube in there. And once that gets going, we're going to take it and dump it in the firebox over here that you can't see because it's too dark. So this is how I'll start it up. So just use this top rack, pull it out, put the chimney on there and light it up. So, and again, those lights on the side aren't like on the pit. They're movable lights. They have a magnet that you can kind of move around. So this is where I'm at right now. This will probably take about 45 minutes to get up to temp. So once this is done, we'll take that chimney again, dump it in the firebox, and then throw some wood on top. All right, so I got the charcoal in there, I got some wood in there, and we're just gonna let that wood burn down, make some coals, and then we'll add some more wood once this burns down. And I do have the, so you can see it here, the door wide open and the vent up there wide open, so that airflow can come through as this is lighting up. And then we'll get this shut down in about 10 minutes and just let it come up to temp and get these briskets on. All right, you guys, we're sitting at about 250, so I'm gonna get these briskets on now. Briskets on here. If you notice, I got the point on the left side because that's where the heat is coming from this way. So this point will protect the flat. You know, it's going to take the brunt of that heat on all of these. So we're going to get it closed up. And, you know, about every hour or so, well, probably about every 45 minutes, I'll come out and throw another log on the fire. But this is what it looks like. And we'll pick back up in a few hours. All right, you guys, we are about an hour and a half in. Still sitting right at about 250, which is perfect. So I'm gonna take a look, give them a little spritz. If I could pull this out, 1 second. It's a lot heavier with all those briskets on it now. I don't want to get my little fingers dirty. Anyway, this is what they're looking like. So we're going to give it a little spritz. Get it close back. And what I'm using to spritz is just a 50-50 mix of apple juice and apple cider vinegar. Again, we're about an hour and a half in. Sitting at 250. And then I'm probably going to spritz every 45 minutes to an hour. And then, you know, I'll pick back up probably another couple hours and see what they look like. So we're about 3.5 hours in, still sitting right at about 250. I've been coming out about every 30 to 45 minutes to check on the fire, tend to the fire. That's just something that, you know, when you're cooking on an offset, that you're just going to have to do. You're going to have to manage that fire and tend to it throughout the entire cook. And this cook is, you know, it's easily going to be 12 hours. So, you know, for those 12 hours, you really got to stand out here and watch it, or not stand out here, but, you know, check it often and tend to the fire. As you can see, the smokestack here, try to get the background of the roof. There isn't, you know, you can't even see smoke coming out of there, but it's on. So that's what they, you know, when they talk about running a clean fire, that's what they're talking about. So you don't see that white billowy smoke coming out. So yeah, right at 250. So we're gonna let this go, and you know, I'm just gonna, like I said, come out here every 30 minutes or so and check on the fire and add wood as I need it. All right, you guys, I wanted to show you something really quickly. These briskets have been going for about, I think we're right at about 5 hours. So they've gotten some really good color. I've been spritzing them about every 30 to 45 minutes with that 50-50 mix of apple juice and apple cider vinegar. But one thing I wanted to show you here is, if you ever cooked, you know, briskets before, a number of briskets, you might have run into this problem where, you know, the flat is pretty thin, as you can see here, so it starts to curl up. Since there isn't a whole lot of fat in here, these can tend to dry out, these corner pieces of the flat. So what you could do to kind of prevent that from drying out too much is I take a piece of foil and I just wrap it right around this flat. Not very tight. I'm just putting a little piece of foil right around it, just kind of covering it. I didn't wrap it all the way like really tight. What this is going to do is it's going to help prevent that from drying out. Your brisket is still going to cook. The bark in that area is, you know, pretty much set, but it's going to help protect that heat from drying it out too much. So this is just one little tip that I will do. It's not happening on the other briskets, so you know, I don't feel like I have to do it to the other briskets. But again, if this point here starts to, and I hope you can make this out, but it's starting to curl up, and that will happen sometimes. So the bark is set, but I'm not ready to wrap just yet. So just put a piece of foil over like that. Again, it's going to protect that point. I'm sorry, it's going to protect that flat. And it's still going to continue to cook, you know, and render out and all that. But it's going to help keep that heat from hitting it and drying it out too much. So just wanted to show you guys that. That's something that I'm doing for this cook. And I will do anytime I have a brisket that, you know, has a thin point on it. Let me turn this over here a little bit. It has a thin, not point, a thin flat, I'm sorry. It has a thin flat, not a point. I'll take some foil. So you get a good look at that. And you just cover up that point, and it should be just fine. So again, this pit has been running at 225 to 250 the entire cook. And you know, we're getting some good color here. I'm liking, that's good. I'm liking the way they look. We're going to continue to let them go. I'll continue to spritz every 30 minutes, 45 minutes. And, you know, I'll decide if I'm going to wrap or not. More than likely, I'm going to wrap. All right, you guys, the briskets have been on the smoker for about, right at about 8 hours. And we've got some nice color on the brisket. Now it's time to wrap. What I'm going to do, and this bark is set. I mean, you know, if I touch it and scrape it, it's not coming off. So this bark is set. So what I'm gonna do is I'm simply gonna add some beef broth to the wrap. I'm going to add about 8 ounces, so 1 cup of beef broth. So that's what I have here, the beef broth. Put that right over the brisket, into the wrap. And then I'm going to, this brisket is the one that I seasoned with the bovine dust here. So what I'm going to do is come back in here and just dust it a little more with some of that rub that I used on the brisket. Give it a light coating. Uh-oh, get over here. Get out of the way. Give it a dusting of that rub. We're gonna get it wrapped up and back on the smoker. And it's probably gonna go for a couple of more hours on the smoker. We're at 8 hours now. So probably another, well, it actually might go a little longer than 2 hours. You know, anywhere from 2 to 3 hours, we'll see. So I'm gonna do the exact same thing to all the other briskets. I'm gonna, you know, wrap them in foil, put the beef broth, and then I'm gonna dust them with whatever rub that I used on that brisket, just so you guys know what I'm doing. So we're gonna double layer this. I'm not gonna show me doing all the other briskets, just because if you've seen it once, then you've seen it 100 times. So this will go back on, and I'm gonna do the same thing to the other briskets. Let me get these wrapped up. I'm gonna get them back on the pit. We're still sitting at 225 to 250, and I'll pick back up once they're done. You guys, we got the briskets here. They're rested, Got one over here on the counter. So we're gonna cut into them and give them a taste. All right, you guys, so I've got the briskets cut up. I've got plate number one, and then underneath the plate is the rub that I use. I wrote the rub underneath the plate, so I actually don't even remember which one is which. And then brisket number two, and brisket number three. The fourth one that I had, they wanted me to leave it whole because they're not going to serve it until tomorrow, so we're not going to get to taste test that one. However, that fourth one was the brisket that I used the Texas Best brisket rub on, and I've used this before, so I know what this tastes like. It's actually really, really good. I wish I could have compared it to all four, but the customer wanted me to leave it the way, or leave it whole, so it wouldn't dry out because they're not going to eat it till the following day. But so we got 1, 2, 3. We're going to taste test part of the flat and then a piece of the burn in, and we'll tell you what we think of each one. Okay, guys, we got the missus here, and we are going to taste test a slice and a burn in. So we'll start with number one, and then yeah, just grab your piece. I don't want to. I hope I was gonna take this top here. All right, so this is number one. Again, I don't remember what the spice is. I did write it underneath the plate. So after we get done taste testing all three and telling you which one is our first, second, and third, we'll reveal what the rub is. So, cheers.
Cheers.
That was good. Like it? Taste test the burn in.
I'm the shorty, your thumb covers my head.
Yeah. Taste test a burn in. Again, we're gonna taste a slice and then a burn in piece. So this is a burn in. Sure. It's good. That's really good.
Not heavy. Yeah, see, cover my face.
All right, so that's number one. We're gonna move on to number two.
We don't cleanse our palate.
Well, you can.
Be fancy.
Nah. Well, yeah, hand me my water. We're gonna take a drink of water real quick. Hold on. There you go. So you gotta get something to drink and then. All right. Let me wipe my face. Don't wipe my face. All right, so we're gonna move on to number two, and we're gonna take. Yeah, you wanna. I'll take half of that.
Half of which part? This part?
Yeah. I'm trying to tear number two apart. Well, get some bark. All right, so we're gonna try number two here. Cheers. I still like number one better.
I still like number one better.
Let's say it's a burn in. Cut that in half.
Oh no, you took
You
the
got
bark.
another bark. You got bark right there, woman.
I'm taking this one,
Damn,
man.
woman. Hold on. Here. The burn in for number two.
Now, see, I like the flavor of the burn end on this one.
That was good.
Oh, good.
That was really good. All right, number three. We'll take a slice of the taste of the slice here. It's good.
I like it. A little salty.
A little salty.
Good
Yeah.
flavor though.
Take half of that. So we're gonna taste the burn-in part. You like that one better? I actually like that one better.
I like burn ends, are my favorite.
All right, so that's all three. What, in your opinion, is your favorite? 1, 2, or 3, or what's your first, second, and third?
1, 3, and 2.
I've got to agree with her. I think 1, 3, and 2 in that order. That's what I would pick. Number 1 would be my first. Number 3 would be my second favorite, and number 2 would be my third favorite. Not that just because it's last doesn't mean it's bad. It's just out of these 3, those 2 are
Number
the
1
other
had a
2.
really good flavor.
Yeah, it did. So let's see what number 1 is. What's that say?
Cosmo's Q.
You guys can see the. I don't know if you could. There you go, Cosmo. So out of the 3, the missus and I picked Cosmo Q as our number 1. Excuse me, which is really surprising because that is the one rub, or I used 2 on that one, but that is the one rub combination that I wanted to try the most. That's the one I've been looking forward to trying the most.
That was really good.
It was excellent. So let's see what number 3 is. Hold that up.
Number 3 is Meat Church.
I don't know if you can pick that up.
Meat Church.
So number 3 was Meat Church. That was our second favorite.
The Holy Cow.
Yeah, that's the actually got it right here. The Holy Cow from Meat Church was our second favorite, which means our third favorite was the Bovine Dust. So out of those 3, Cosmo came in first, Meat Church came in second, and the Bovine Dust came in third. Now I will tell you guys, out of all 3 of those, like, it was actually really, really close in my opinion. There wasn't, from 1 to 3, there wasn't like a huge gap in flavor. They were actually, fairly close. And I probably, 2 and 3, I could have probably, picked second out of those 2. I went with 3. I just thought it was a little bit better. So out of the 3, again, the Cosmo Q came in first, Meat Church second, Bovine Dust third. So anyway, that's our taste test on this. Thanks to Mrs. for joining me. Okay, now go away. Get out of here. Pour me some water. For our taste test for this cook, that was our little experiment. I hope you guys enjoyed it. But again, out of all 3, from 1 to 3, it wasn't a huge difference. So they're all good rubs. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you found it entertaining. So I've got to cut some of these up, get them ready for my neighbor. One of them I got to take to my neighbors, and we're going to enjoy a little bit of the other one. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, I don't get to cook on a stick burner often, and while I love my pellet smoker, my pit barrel cooker, and Weber Smoky Mountain, I will always be a stick burner guy at heart. So thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys next time. Take care.